Hello everyone, Crash Desperate here with another Project Spark game build video. Before you start, yes, it has been 4 or 5 months since I put the last one out. I actually recorded the footage for this about almost 2 months ago, and it's taken me this long to do the commentary on it. I am so sorry about that, but other videos and series kind of took priority, and scripting these videos can be a bit of a time eater. But anyway, lame excuses aside, hello! In the last video we crafted a bit of the starting area, and we started looking at the main character's brain a bit, without success, I might add. Yeah, you'll be happy to know we finally figured out how to make the bird fly, bloody hell, and we'll be covering it here along with some more landscaping. Anyway, so the first thing we needed to do, because it really did bug me before, is trying to make the bird fly. So we go into the brain, and my wise idea from watching my previous video was that we're going to make it move with flying. So we go over to the jump, and no, we don't enter text. That's what daft people do. Instead, we're picking that we're going to move with flying. That was my bright idea. So whether that works or not, you're about to see. So we're going to the test, and the bird sort of goes around, and once it's flying, wait for it, it's just having a bit of a wander, there we go. So once it's flying, it doesn't change altitude, and it could only move in one direction as well, so that was pretty useless. However, we finally did make it levitate, which is an improvement, which is more than we ever managed to do before. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and add fall, just down here, just in addition to move with flying. Okay, so we're testing it now, just with the added falling. However, it was not, the bird cannot fly at all with added falling apparently. It did a bit of a suicide dive into the water where it actually is quite safe. It's just having a bit of a splash about. So that again is not what we're after, so we need to add that when A is released to fall, and when A is pressed to move with flying. A little bit complicated, but we'll see how that works. So here we go. So when it stays afloat when A is pressed here, but when you release it, it starts falling. So it's not gaining altitude. We need it to gain altitude, so that's not good enough. Okay, so my next bright idea, we were going to add a new page, which was something that I learned to do in the tutorial. So we went along to do that, and deleted a spare page, and in the meanwhile call that one flight. Now, so what we were going to do in this one, we were going to take everything that made the bird fly from the first page, and just move it across to flight. So we're just doing that now, as you can see. So we take out all the stuff there, and instead we make it switch page when A is pressed. So when A is pressed, you're on the flight mode. When it's released, you go back to normal mode. So on the first page, we made it so you had permanent fall on, if that makes any sense at all. So we were just doing a bit of modifying here and there. So when A is released, you switch page back to page 1, which is what will make it fall with any luck. However, as you're about to see in a second, that's not quite what happens. So when you press A, massive flight boost, and while you're flying, there's no camera following you as well, so it got a bit weird. No, so we go back, and what we were going to do is we're going to add follow camera on the flight page now, and we started adding a speed modifier, but I realised I didn't know how to what value to enter. I don't know how that works, so I was just hoping there'd be a slower function. And we deleted permafall on page 1 as well. So we've now got the bird flying up and defying gravity, and when I release he doesn't fall, and also the camera resets every time I start flying, and it was starting to get a bit annoying, really. It just didn't make an awful lot of sense. So I think it's time to scrap the flight idea and move on. So we're going to empty the flight page now, seeing that the camera would be a bit of an issue, and we changed it so that when you press A, you move with flying with the world up direction. And when you release A, you move down. Waiting for it. Even when it's sped up, I can't catch up with myself. That's unfortunate. unfortunate. But yeah, so new test. Gravity is not working. And the bird can't move once it starts flying. It is just stuck in place. Great, except when you tap A repeatedly, it does move up very slightly. Maybe like a data value of 1 height. So we were going to change it a bit, so a bit of experimenting, so we changed it so that when A is pressed, you start flying, rather than just pressing A. So you have to kind of hold it for that to work. And it did, it worked, again, but we don't have any gravity. And we still can't move around. So we're slowly making improvements, but as you can see, it's still taking a bit of tweaking. So here we go. So we try to add a minus a value to moving with flying, but again, we don't know how to use those values. I'm really going to have to look it up. So we changed it so that when A is released, it moves down to false. So there we go. It finally works, and we have an up and a down motion, and also the bird moves, the camera moves. It all works, but it's a little bit clunky. In that you can't, when you were holding down A, you can't actually change direction. You have to let go of A to change direction. So I don't know if that'll add a bit of challenge to the level. I don't know whether that's worth changing. We will see. So that's all quite fine for the moment. Another thing is that when you let go, you do, like for an extended amount of time, you do an absolute swan dive. And when you hold down A for ages, you start speeding up really quickly as well. And I left a bit of the world kind of unsculpted there. That's kind of something I'll need to fix. I think I might have done it later on in the video. I cannot remember. Alright, so the bird has finally landed onto the island again. And it works! I was just, especially after the kerfuffle we had in the last video, I was just really happy that it goddamn works. For God's sake. If you saw the last video, you'll know how much that upset me. It really did. Don't know what those icons in the bottom right are for. The bird's just having a bit of a slide down the cliff, as you do. So you can see how it can still be a bit clunky, but we'll live with it for the moment. So we thought it's finally time to do some more sculpted. So we wanted to sculpt some islands, I think. So some floating islands, because we'd had enough of the starting area for now. We want to do something else. So just add a bit more, there we go, of a landscape, and from there just kind of expand it out and get to work on it. So the idea with these starter islands is that I want to give a challenging area that the player can use as a start point to get used to the flying mechanisms. So you sort of fly in between the islands, trying to find a few hidden items. Because the objective in this game is that you're going to have to collect, I'm going to see if I can put 50 eggs or something into the game, and you've got to find them all. Obviously, watching these game build videos, you're probably going to be able to find all of them before the game comes out, if the game ever comes out, because at the rate I'm making it, it's just appalling. But we'll just leave that comment where it is. But yeah, the main thing I was going for with this was that I didn't want to just make it look like an unnatural item. I didn't want it to look man-made. I wanted it to look sort of natural, a bit random. We've not really added any sort of features to it yet, or sort of getting the sculpting right at this point. But I do like the design work that I did on the shape of the islands. It's just sort of, you'll see later on, I don't think I did quite good with the sort of decorating them. I think I went for a bit of a spiral idea with this one, just to give it something a bit more different. I don't create many of these islands in this video. That is something I'm going to have to focus on more next time. But that's absolutely fine and dandy for this time. Just create a bit of an offshoot from Spiral Island. And from memory, I create a really big sort of platform here. And again, just to try and make it look a bit more natural, just try and fill it out a bit underneath. And even that out as well. Just so it's a bit more of a neat walkway upwards. So we started patching up some of the blank patches in the textures, because I realised at this point that there were quite a few of them. And I don't know why that happened, but it did, and it was rather unfortunate. So we just kind of went around with the brush and did some painting, like a landscaping Picasso. Not really. I wish I was that good, but then again, I'm sure a great many other people do as well. I don't know what I'm talking about now. So, we started to mess around with some of the biome brushes at this point in the texturing, and unfortunately, things went a bit weird. We added snow to the starting island. I didn't quite know what I was doing, and then at one point, you'll see now, in a moment. So, just got some nice extra grass in there. It's not what I was on about. We accidentally turned everything alien. Great stuff. And then we were trying to find a tree to put down. And then I changed my mind and fixed the textures. Got out another tree. And then I started having tree placement issues because I couldn't remember how to bloody do it, and I was getting the buttons mixed up. And there we go. I finally put a couple down on the island. I started, changing direction of the shape just to make sure they don't all look the same. And that works. And then we put a couple down to look like bushes in the starting area as well. Because I think that's one thing that area was sorely missing. Just a bit more foliage. It had enough trees, but never mind. So this is what we've got at the end of today's video. We have just quite a few sort of nice, natural-looking, snaky islands that I'll be hiding a few eggs on, if I can. And also, we finally got the bird working. So we're making a bit more headway, and I'll be seeing you next time, where I'll be building a lot more of the snaky islands, probably make one connect to the starting area, and just decorate it all a bit more. So next time's going to be dedicated to landscaping. But that is all, so like and favourite the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to me if you haven't already, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. But I mean, that's a wrap. Toodles!